Welcome back to a great day. It's Wednesday, 5th of August, as we are being joined by Rekha Basu from the Des Moines Register. It is time for Rekha's Voice, as it is each and every week at this time.
Good morning. To see you. It's good to see you too.
So I walked in, Rekha walked in, and I said, "Are you going to talk about Sunday's column, or are you going to get me fired?" She's going to get me fired.
Well, okay, so this is a hot topic, and it's one of those button pushers because we're talking about life. And anytime you talk about life, people are going to get on edge about it.
But we're friends,
and
I think
about
we can.
fetal
And we want to remind
life.
everybody that Rekha has an opinion column
Exactly.
in the Register. It's her voice, and we're sharing it.
And we hope in this segment of Great Day that we can model civil discussion about very difficult and controversial subjects. And I know my good friend Jason and I have a different view about abortion.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Jason. What is the best way to prevent abortion?
Don't have sex, I suppose.
Jason, is this the 1950s? Who's going to listen to that?
Well, yeah, I thought you were asking from a biological standpoint.
Oh, no, yeah, okay.
So we're talking about what's happening with the hubbub
with Planned Parenthood, that there is this big effort on the part of, right, exactly, that our U.S. Senator Joni Ernst, the first Iowan to become a U.S. Senator, by the way,
Iowa woman.
Did I say Iowan?
Iowa,
yeah. Sorry. Iowa woman to become a U.S. Senator has co-sponsored legislation that would defund Planned Parenthood to the tune of $500-some million of federal funding, most of which, the vast majority of which, goes towards prevention. And what Planned Parenthood rightly responds is that that would cause more unplanned pregnancies, because a lot of what they do is birth control and then things that have nothing to do with reproduction, like, you know, breast cancer checks and cervical cancer checks and STDs and all of that. So if you take that pool of money away, more people will have unprotected sex, and then there will be more abortions. That's just logical. Now, the reason that this has become an issue, the reason that this funding cut has been proposed, is because, of course, of these incendiary videos that surfaced that were made by Planned Parenthood opponents posing as people, medical researchers, scientists who are looking to procure fetal tissue to do research on. And these, I mean, what Planned Parenthood says, and I've seen some of the outtakes, is that these videos were very selectively edited, so that it makes it appear that this executive from one Planned Parenthood affiliate office is talking about payment for fetal tissue parts. And that's repulsive to anybody. That's against federal law. You cannot buy fetal tissue parts, but it is legal to donate them for scientific research if the woman who's having an abortion wants that and requests that. And Planned Parenthood says that's what was going on, that the only money conversations they were having had to do with shipping and storage expenses. And they were talking dollars like $50, $75, so it wasn't like big money.
Not an enormous amount.
Exactly. Yeah. But what is interesting politically is that, you know, the Republican field of candidates this year has not made a lot about social issues like same-sex marriage and abortion, because it's not been a really winning issue recently. And the fight over same-sex marriage is pretty much lost for the right. It really is. It's now the Supreme Court has ruled nationally. It's legal. People can get married everywhere. And same thing with abortion rights. In Iowa, the Ames straw poll has ceased to be because it was so dominated by social conservatives. And the idea was that it does not broadly represent Republicans in this country, many of whom are purely fiscal conservatives, and some of whom are libertarians and really don't care about these divisive social issues. So that had pretty much gone away as a campaign issue, but now it's heating up again. And now you have a whole slate of presidential candidates who are coming out and talking about the immorality of abortion, and it's just churning up this whole debate again. And I feel that, you know, that is an issue that has been settled, that Roe versus Wade determined that abortion is legal in this country. It can be restricted, and there's certain limits on, you know, how it's done, when it's done, where it's done, whether children have to get the permission of their parents or, you know, parental notification on it. But this issue, I think, is just a false flag, or whatever you want to call it. And I think it's really a shame that it's being brought up. And even though the vote failed the other night in the Senate, it fell short by about 7 or 8 votes. Republicans in the Senate have vowed, and also actually in the House, have vowed to bring this back in the fall as attached to a funding bill. So they are threatening to go all the way, as happened a few years ago, to shut down the government and not pass a spending bill for the federal government overall unless funding for Planned Parenthood is taken out. And I just think that that's self-defeating, because as long as there is unprotected sex, there are going to be abortions. There's going to be demand.
But abortion isn't birth control.
No, it absolutely isn't, and it should not be. It should be the absolute last resort. And we can plead with young people to take better precautions, but honestly, if birth control is made less available, then people are going to have unprotected sex.
You know, when the gay marriage thing that passed, in my social media feed was full of right side of history and love wins. And this is the same party that's advocating murdering children. And I don't understand the mental gymnastics that have to go on to let that happen. And I know people disagree with me, and they'll write angry emails. And frankly, you know, if I were to get fired, then I could sleep in and get unemployment. So that's okay. These are both okay things. But and we're never going to agree. But this is the party, the Democratic Party, that's supposed to stand up for the little guy. And here's the ultimate little guy with no one to protect him, no representation. And you know, last year we murdered 90,000 African American babies in the United States.
So when you use terms like murder and children, Jason, define your terminology, because at what point does a human being become a human being?
Yeah, well, and that's the contentious issue.
For you, at the moment of conception?
But I've got a kid at home who has a genetic disorder, and if he was left on his own, he wouldn't live. He would die. So,
but let me ask you this:
do I have the right to abort him because
but
he
you
can't
can
live on
see
his
it
own?
two ways. If you have a kid with a genetic disorder, don't you want as much scientific research as possible to be done that could come up with a cure for that?
Yes, but not on dead baby
And you
parts.
can't. I mean, if someone is going to have an abortion anyway, why not use those parts of fetal tissue that can be engaged in life-saving medical research? I mean, quite frankly, and you know, I feel a bit passionate about this kind of scientific research because of Rob, because I lost my husband to ALS.
Yeah.
And at that time, there was a ban on federal stem cell research under President George W. Bush because he wanted to take these frozen embryos that were not going to be used anyway. He did not want to use those for medical science, for life-saving science. And my feeling is, if this is going to be aborted anyway, if this is anyway going to be disposed, this embryo, why not? Why not use it?
To me, it still makes it wrong. You're taking a dead human being that you've killed and then you're using it for research, and I just think it's wrong. Planned Parenthood handles about 10% of women's health and prevention services in the United States, which is probably a big chunk.
10%?
Yeah. Why?
Where do you get that figure?
I
It's the
just read
majority.
it yesterday. But my question is, why do I have to pay for it? I mean, when you say, look, they do all this good, but they murder kids.
I don't say they murder kids.
No, you don't say that, but that's what I say. Yes, I recognize that they do good things. Why not have this operation be separate from this operation? Why do I have to pay for the whole thing? I want nothing to do with it.
Because it's legal, Jason, because abortion is legal in this country. And until it is declared not legal, then the federal government has no role in intervening and saying, no, you can't do this, you can't do this.
The federal government should have had no role in making it legal. It should have been left to the states. Do you think corporations are people? The Supreme Court thinks.
No, I do
and I don't
not
think
believe
so either.
corporations are people.
So just because the Supreme Court rules on something doesn't mean that either one of us is going to give up and say, okay, well, that's...
But we all have to obey the rulings of the Supreme Court. And in the case of corporations are people, yeah, they get to have free speech rights and they get to advertise. And that was lost to our side, you know? So that's the premise on which
frankly, I don't agree with it either.
proceed. Yeah.
You see, that just proof here that two people can disagree.
Two nice people who love each other. Yeah.
Well, this is going to be a hot button topic. They're saying it's going to probably be a big part of the presidential debate that's happening tomorrow
I'm really
night.
interested to see how this plays out on the debate stage tomorrow.
Too good timing.
And when I say things like this, the emails that I get,
Yeah.
and I know we're running over time, are that I hate women.
Well, I'm already getting emails, Jason, this morning saying God is going to punish me. So,
you know,
you hate women and God is going to punish me.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
you know, we'll